fresh coffee. It is bright and early today. Okay, here's the deal. I'm in the middle of this huge army commission. Well, it's a flip. It's not technically a commission, but whatever. That's a different conversation anyways. I am almost completed painting 65 Grey Knight infantry models, which is incredibly boring content. So this week, instead of watching me paint the same parts 65 times, we're gonna talk about what's in my paint rack. Basically, all my other hobbies have consistent content coming out from creators around the gear that they use. These are typically called what's in the bag videos. You see this all the time in golf and photos and videos. Those are my other hobbies, by the way. And they're incredibly interesting to get inside perspective from other creators about what gear they like and why. And I don't typically see that in the miniature painting community. You'll see a one-off review, but I don't know. We don't really see people spending the time to say, this is the gear that I've been using and will continue to use, and this is what's right next to me right now. This is the gear I'm literally using right now. We often see very outdated reviews. Yeah, also, I've seen all the comments on my Masters G22 Airbrush review. I know I'll do an updated review. I know, speaking of outdated reviews, whatever. So, welcome to my first What's in the Rack video, hopefully the first of many. I want to continue to update this video over time, hopefully maybe a couple times a year, to talk about changes to my rack system, what gear's in there, what paints I'm really using, and why. So, without further ado, let me show you my rack. I can't. We have to come up with a better name than what's in the rack. And it can't be what's in the bag because there's no bag. But what's in the rack is a shitty name for this whole thing. But there's not a better name. That's kind of just what I think we're gonna get. Anyways, let's check out my rack. All right, first things first, the paint rack that I use is the Monument Hobby system. The Monument Hobby rack system is extremely modular, and that's what I really like about it. Each one of these pieces can come apart, move around, and you can completely change the order of what's in here and how you have it set up depending on your needs, which is very important. And I can tell you, over time with painting, your needs will change, and mine have over time. And I believe that if you're going to invest in a rack system, you should invest in a system that's modular, because I can assure you that someday your hobby desk will change. Maybe you move, life changes happen, maybe your painting changes happen, maybe you expand your ranges, you reduce your ranges. All of those things could happen, and if you aren't invested in a modular system, you are going to have to spend more money, or you will be stuck with something that might not be as effective as when you originally bought it. So modularity is the first key to my system and what's important to me. Throughout these different racks, you'll see different paint ranges, different tools and things that I use every day. But this is all set up in a way that keeps the tools that I use the most directly in this rack, as opposed to the drawers I keep below this desk. Let's kind of get into the first paint rack and talk through a little bit about my paint history. So this rack right here is all Vallejo colors. The top is Vallejo model colors, and down here is Vallejo Game Air. When I got out of Citadel paints, which I recommend everybody starts thinking more critically about why they're buying Citadel paints, and I would encourage you to check out other ranges. They're significantly more cost effective for just as good of a paints, or in many cases better. Check out other paint ranges. Citadel's not the only paints you need. And the first time I started branching out from there, I got into Vallejo paints, specifically Vallejo model color. That's these first couple top paints up there. Vallejo model color is extremely cost effective. I think Ninjon did a fantastic video, I think with Miniac. I feel like I should know that. But they talked about the best paint system to get into as a beginner. The starter set that they recommend the most, Vallejo model color, was it. And I would be behind that too. It's extremely cost effective. It's great paint, very good range. It's often found everywhere. Pretty easy to source. So I definitely recommend Vallejo model color if you're looking to start branching out and dabbling in other paints. Below here is Vallejo Game Air, and I got that because I was frankly getting into airbrushing at an early phase in my painting journey, which I recommend you do too. It's way easier than you think it is. There's way less complications than it looks like. If you can afford an airbrush, I believe that you should own one. Then moving further down. We're actually going to go down here first. Down here, scale 75. And the reason it's down here is because my current paint range pretty much has replaced scale 75 for me. Scale 75 is fantastic paints. The hype is real around them. I will say the con, depending on your location, is availability. Scale 75 can, in certain locations, be very hard to hunt down. I know locally in Denver, only a couple of stores carry it, and unfortunately none near me. It's quite the drive to get to them. So scale 75 is very good. Very good paint. I definitely recommend it. I used a lot of scale 75, lots of their metallics, their various fantasy ranges and weird color combos. I love the sets that they create. I love that they come with kind of inspiration palette ideas. What scale 75 is doing is very good. I think the con to their product is availability. Next, the mother of all paints. This to me is it, Pro Acryl. So I started experimenting with Pro Acryl about 18 months ago and am completely hooked. I've got the whole range and am now an affiliate with Pro Acryl because I genuinely believe in their products. I don't take hobby affiliations with companies who I don't believe in their products. Pro Acryl is a product that I've used extensively, highly recommend it, and believe in what they're doing. What I like the most about Pro Acryl is it's opaque when you need it to be and it's transparent when you need it to be. And what that means and how I use those things is I love opacity when I'm hand brushing. If I'm hand brushing a detail, I want to do it once. I don't want to do it 2 times. I want to do it 3 times. And with most of the colors in their range, you can get away with 1 coat coverage on details, which is exactly what you need when you're painting armies. The other thing that I really like about their paint ranges is they're very densely pigmented and they take thinning very well. So you can thin down their paints quite a bit and still get a lot of good color saturation while also having a slightly transparent paint. And this is very important when airbrushing or creating blends and layering transitions in general, but I'm much more of an airbrusher versus doing layering and blending with a hand brush. So these are, to me, the most versatile paints that I can find. They do it all. Their metallic range is beautiful. They have a transparent range, speaking of transparency, which by the way, Jason, I don't have your transparent white. And now I don't have the complete set of Pro Acryl. I did have it, and now you have a new paint out. It was like I completed the journey, and then I found out that there's another level. So I got to get that paint. I want to try it. I've seen the videos of it. It looks very interesting. Transparent white is a very cool and interesting idea for paint. So Pro Acryl, a couple of things that I really like about their range. It's made by a hobbyist for hobbyists. You know, I really love the Pro Acryl platform. What they're doing is amazing. Their product is amazing. It's the most cost-effective paint I can possibly find. It is literally half the price per milliliter of Citadel. It comes in a dropper bottle with a modular lid system. Back to modularity. Do you like a dripper, a twist nozzle, and a flip cap? They've got all that. You can choose the lid that you like. And on top of that, it comes with a glass bead loaded in there, paint agitator, ready to go. It's insane what you get for $4 a bottle. Highly recommend the Pro Acryl range. Definitely worth checking it out if you're interested in expanding your paint range. Chef's kiss. It is such a chef's kiss. It's insane. It's my favorite paints. Literally. That's it. That's Pro Acryl. That's it. That's what's in my rack right there. Pro Acryl. That's it. See these 2 racks right here? That's Pro Acryl. Down here a little bit further in the bottom rack, we see my collection of Citadel contrast paints. These paints have grown on me a lot over the last couple years. They're fantastic for quick details, for airbrushing filters, for basically everything that they didn't advertise them for. I think they're actually very bad for what they advertise them for, which is the 1 coat and done system over giant things like armor panels. Full models very rarely, in my opinion, look good completely covered with contrast. If you start really looking through what they're advertised as, start using them for glazing and other techniques, you'll find a lot more success with them. They actually are a very good range. I think you just need to think very outside the box with how you use them, and you will have a lot of fun with them. They're a good range. They do certain things very well. They do other stuff very badly, but you have to experiment to figure out how they work best for you. And then past that is just my Citadel Washes, which to be honest, I don't really use much at all anymore. If anything, I use them in my airbrush as a very transparent filter. And above that, I have some Citadel Technicals that are very good. You know, the Citadel Blood for the Blood God is very good. Valhalla and Blizzard is very good. And then a couple of mixing mediums down there. So that's primarily the paints that I keep. Next, we've got this modular system up top. It's kind of a cube organizer, which again, I really like their system. It allows you to just make it work for your needs. For me, I like having primers and other weird shaped bottles. Some of the products I use don't really fit in other racks or areas, and so I keep all mine up here. Up top, you'll see primarily my enamels. I'm a huge fan of Streak and Grime. Currently, I'm transitioning from AK to MIG. So the front product right here, my friends at MIG, that is good stuff. From all my color testing, MIG Streak and Grime is damn close to the original Streak and Grime, and it's a good replacement for a product that was changed and lied about, and for a company that's just bad. It's just bad news. What they're doing, their marketing campaigns, they're just terrible. So if you're interested in enamels, look into MIG over AK. That's all my rant about that. This shelf is primarily things like glues, primers, inks, couple things I'm using right now. You know, I'm a huge fan of Vallejo's Flow Improver. I'm not an airbrush thinner person. I thin with Flow Improver. It's a entirely different topic. I could do an entirely separate video about why airbrush thinner is probably causing more issues for your painting than it's solving. But airbrush Flow Improver, keep a bottle right next to me at all times. Use it for all sorts of stuff. You could thin metallics with it. I've fixed a squeak in one of my hand drills with it. It's good stuff. My current primer is Badger Stynylrez. Res. Sadly, I don't like that primer. I genuinely don't. I think it's a bad airbrushing experience. I don't think it's a very good product to be airbrushed, and it actually comes from an airbrush company, so it's fascinating. But I will say that it is the tackiest primer available. It creates a very strong bond to the miniature, and I need that given the physical abrasion and the rough handling that my miniatures go through while painting. Typically the reduction process of enamel paints or oil paints with mineral spirits. So that can be very rough on certain primers, and I have had primers in the past completely lift off the model. It's bad. So I'm using Badger Stynylrez. I don't like it, but it is the best primer for me right now. I'm also a big fan of Liquitex inks. I think that they are marginally better than Daler and Rowney. Specifically the bottle size. I know that's really specific, but the bottle size is more friendly for storage. They seem to be a little bit more available in hobby stores. I've seen them in more places than I've seen Daler and Rowney, so I do recommend Liquitex. I think that they are marginally better, and you'll more than likely will find them easier. So check out Liquitex inks. I fly through white. I basically zenith highlight almost everything I paint with white ink, so that's just one of my go-to things. Down here in the rack system is just various tools. I mean, this is just knives, shaping tools, and scrapers, and little hand drills. It's all there, right next to me, right where I need it. Over here is more things. You know, I got the Citadel Clippers, which I oddly like. I think they're a bit expensive for what they are, but I think that they're a good product. Just some bigger wire snips, a whole bunch of files, and a couple tweezers. I have two different types of tweezers, regular and reverse action. Let me show you what that means. These are regular tweezers. You pinch them and they close. This is an important hobby tool that I don't see many people talking about. These are reverse action. See, so what happens is when you squeeze, it opens, and when you let go, it stays closed. Now that's extremely important when you're doing things like loading a tiny sponge in there to knock out tons of quick weathering. Check out my previous weathering video a few months ago about some of my techniques on weathering. Loading a sponge in here and letting it just stay closed by itself is a godsend. So reverse action tweezers, I could not live without these. This is weirdly one of the most important things I keep on my desk. Very important. Other things I keep nearby, a couple brush cleaners. You know, I've dabbled quite a bit in the Masters brush cleaner, is very good. I've also dabbled quite a bit in the Monument brush cleaners. Again, they make great products. I would recommend whatever you can source. Other random things I keep on my desk. This is my brush system up here. Kind of a various range of all sorts of different things. You know, I range from very cheap hobby store synthetics all the way to Raphael A404s, the arguably the best paintbrush in the game, or at least, you know, in the top 3, depending on your opinion. A couple quick things about where I'm at currently with paintbrushes. Typically in my work right now, I am opting to the cheapest synthetic I can possibly source for things like metallics and contrast paints, which I do use quite often. And I'm actually really enjoying Monument's sabers. Their Kolinsky sabers are very good. So especially given the price point of generally between 10 and 15 bucks, I believe, I'm very happy with the quality of those. They're not the greatest saber that I've ever used, but given the price, they're one of the best I've ever used. So I'm a huge fan of those. I definitely recommend them if you're looking at upgrading your brush range. They can hang very well with some of the high-end sabers, so give it a shot. I think you're gonna like it. A couple other things I just keep on my desk. The Citadel miniature holder is actually, I think, a pretty decent tool for painting. There's definitely better miniature painting handles out there. Stay tuned. And for now though, I think that this is just a decently available product. I like the hard rigid edges. It allows you to really press it into your desk and it's not gonna roll around, which I like. So I have this in both the regular and the XL size. I have to be listening to tons of music while I paint. Apple Airpods, love these, just easy to use, sit right next to me. I pop them out, throw in my ears, it's instantly connected, listening right away. No buttons, no nothing. This is just a good product. It's expensive for what it is. It's kind of, in my opinion, pointlessly luxury, but damn, this is one of my favorite things I own. Seriously, the Apple Airpods are amazing. Huge fan. And the last thing I keep over here, other than my cool Spruce Layer hat collection, is this. And this is a little bit sentimental to me, but this is, as far back as I can find, the first miniature that I painted. And I don't remember if I painted anything before this, but I know that what I've found in my parents' basement, this is the oldest painted miniature of mine that I can find. And I keep it next to me as a reminder of where I've come from. When you are developing as a hobbyist, it's very important to always know where you've come from, to spend your time focusing on the improvements that you've made and not compare yourself to others. So I keep this next to me always. I think it's a nice reminder of where I've come from, what I've achieved, and my goals in the future. So it's one of those important things that keeps me balanced as a hobbyist, and it might do the same for you or it might not. And that is pretty much my what's in the rack system for right now. This does change over time. The paints that I use change over time based on my needs. You know, I've changed my ranges of primers, metallics, grimes, pigment powders, basing textures. All that stuff is constant. I'm constantly trying new things and experimenting with different products to figure out what works the best for me. So this will change. Maybe not some of the fundamentals. I don't see moving away from Pro Acrylic anytime soon, but there's certain things that will change over time, and I will update my rack video, my what's in the rack video, my, I don't know, my what's my gear video. Should we call this what's in my rack? Is that what this is? There's gotta be a better name than that. If you think there's a better name, let me know, but I'm gonna go with what's in the rack for now. This video will update over time and it will change, and I will release more of these, but if you're interested in these types of videos, tell your favorite creator to make a what's in the rack video and ask them about what they use right now and why, because people change over time. A gear review, a paint system review, it's good to have that as a reference point. Things change, paints change, technology changes, new models come out, new paint ranges come out, and that can change everything. My biggest advice is build a system that works for you. Be optimistic about the skills that you currently possess, but also be cognizant that what you're doing right now won't always be what you do. And be prepared to change your rack along the way. Peace out, nation.